Hi, this is Dr. Swapna and I welcome you to your Learn Lab. If you are an IGNOU student looking for help in your studies, then you have reached the right place. Here, we have lecture videos on different core and elective subjects of important IGNOU courses. We aim to help you ace your exams. So hit subscribe to our channel and as you watch, make sure to like and share too. Come and join me on this beautiful learning journey. So in this session, we'll be doing Unit 9, which is Eyewitness and Witness Protection. And this is from Block 3, which is titled Criminal Psychology. By the end of this unit, you will be able to explain what an eyewitness is and understand their importance in investigation. You will be able to describe the process and tools used in eyewitness assessment. You'll also be able to evaluate the reliability and accuracy of witness testimony. You'll understand special considerations for children who are eyewitnesses. And finally, explain the concept and categories of witness protection. Let's see first what it means to be an eyewitness. So, an eyewitness is someone who has directly seen an event or a crime happening right in front of their eyes. Their observation can be of the suspect, the crime scene, or the sequence of actions. So, eyewitnesses play a crucial role in identifying offenders, reconstructing the crime scenes, and also establishing facts. So, eyewitnesses, these are individuals who have seen an event or crime occur right in front of their eyes. Their testimony helps to identify the perpetrators or the person who has committed the crime, and it also helps in reconstructing the crime scenes. It is a legal term and a very critical component in investigations. Eyewitness testimony is powerful in courtrooms, yet it is also very vulnerable because human memory is not a video recorder, right? It can be affected by perception, emotions, and even stress. So that's why psychologists work closely with investigators to evaluate how accurate and reliable an eyewitness's account truly is, right? So this is what is the meaning of being an eyewitness. So when we talk about eyewitness account, it's very important that the whatever statement is given by the eyewitness should be reliable and accurate. And when we talk about eyewitness reliability, we first of all means consistency. Whether the person's story remains stable over the time. If it is changing with time, this means it is not reliable. Second is accuracy. Accuracy refers to how close their version of events is to what actually happened. Means how true it is. So it should not be too different from what exactly it has happened. If that happens, then that eyewitness account is not accurate, right? So there are several factors that influence the memory that an eyewitness has. It could be stress or fear. So during crime, people experience high emotional arousal, which could be fear or anger or similar emotions. This can sometimes blur their memory. And similarly, lighting and distance. Poor visibility or fast moving scenes, or if the person was standing much far away from where the site of crime is, then that can also reduce the accuracy or the memory of the person. Then there could be bias and expectations. So sometimes people may unintentionally fill gaps in memory based on assumptions. So if they don't remember what happened between two scenes, then they could use their bias or their expectation or any logic their brain thinks of to fill those gaps. And another thing that influences is post-event information, which means like the person is listening in news about the incident, or people are discussing about it in front of this person, or questioning. All this can change what a witness actually remembers. Hence, reliability and accuracy must always be scientifically assessed. All right. Let's see what is the meaning of eyewitness assessment now. We said that eyewitness has to be reliable and accurate, right? And for that they need psychological assessment to make sure that they are actually reliable and accurate. So that is what we are going to see, the meaning of eyewitness assessment. So eyewitness assessment refers to the psychological evaluation of how the witness perceived, encoded, stored and recalled an event. So it is an assessment that evaluates perception, memory and communication of what the person recollects about the incident. It is not just about what they say, it's about understanding how their mind processed what they saw. Right? So it helps in determining if testimony is trustworthy and unbiased. So a psychologist here looks at three things. First is perception, which means how well could the person observe the whole event. Second is memory. How was that information stored and retrieved in the brain? Third is communication. So this means how clearly and confidently are they able to describe the incident. So here the goal is to determine whether the testimony is credible and free from any bias or suggestion or distortion or memory contamination. Right? So what is the nature of eyewitness assessment? Eyewitnesses can be broadly of two kinds. First is voluntary eyewitness. So as the term suggests here, these are eyewitnesses who come forward on their own without any external persuasion or anybody's pressure. They do it on their own. Second is persuaded witnesses, which is exactly opposite of the voluntary witness. Here, persuaded witness, these are people who agree to testify when asked by investigators or when they are pressured by someone to do so. Right? So, assessment of these both these categories of witnesses involves both psychological and legal dimensions. Psychologically, it examines the cognitive processes like memory, attention, or let's say recall and suggestibility. Legally, it checks whether the witness's account it meets the standards of evidence in court or not. The methods that are used to assess these witnesses include detailed interviews, then psychological testing like cognitive test, credibility analysis, and checking behavioral observation to evaluate the confidence and consistency. Right? So this is the nature of eyewitness assessment. Let's see what are the tools and methods that are used for eyewitness assessment. So first of all, we have cognitive interview. This was described by Fisher and Geiselman in 1992. Then we have lineup identification. We have polygraph and BEOSP tests. And then we have narcoanalysis. We'll look at each of these in detail. So first we have cognitive interview, which was given by Fisher and Geiselman in 1992. So the cognitive interview is a scientifically designed questioning method which enhances the quantity and quality of information recalled by witnesses. So this was developed to improve accuracy of eyewitness recall. This is based on retrieval cues and context reinstatement. Retrieval cues mean what all information is able to be recollected. Right? These are prompts or let's say something that helps the person to recollect more information and reinstate the context or the context in which the whole thing was happening. So here witness is asked to mentally recreate the environment including the sounds, sights and emotions, and leading questions are avoided because this could lead to suggestibility, right? So there are four main techniques that are used here. The first is called reinstating context. Here, the witness is asked to mentally recreate the environment, the sounds, the smells, the emotions, and the surroundings of the event, everything. They are made to imagine the whole scene again. Second is report everything, even seemingly trivial details, because they might trigger deeper memory connections. Third is recall in different orders. For example, narrating the incident in a reverse order or backward. This can break automatic patterns and reveal missing details. Then change perspective. This means recall the whole incident as if you are seeing this through someone else's eyes. Right? Like imagining what a bystander might have seen. So these strategies help reduce memory bias and increase accurate recall. And research shows that cognitive interviews can increase correct recollection by nearly 40% compared to standard police interrogation techniques. The second technique or the second tool that we use for eyewitness assessment is called lineup identification test. So in lineup test, the witness is asked to identify the suspect from a group of similar looking individuals. So a suspect is presented among similar looking individuals. The witness is then asked to identify the person they saw. Now this lineup identification can be simultaneous, which means all the people are presented at once, or sequential where the similar looking individuals are asked to come one by one in front of the eyewitness. So here the police must ensure fairness that by bringing in individuals who are of same race, gender and build. This helps to verify the visual memory of the witness, how much the witness was correct in identifying the offender. Now, there are three main types of lineup identification test. The first is called live lineup. So here the witness views real people in person. Second is photo lineup, where the witness is shown photographs of the individuals. Third is video lineup, where digital method is used in modern investigation like nowadays, where the video is shown to the witness. Now, to ensure fairness, as again I said, all participants in the lineup must resemble each other in race, age, height, and also in clothing. However, lineups are prone to memory distortion if not conducted carefully. Right? So, there are its own limitations also. So, witness confidence may not mean exactly accuracy, and memory can be influenced by suggestive cues or even stress. For example, if an officer hints that the suspect is among these five, it can consciously pressure the witness to choose someone even if the person is unsure whether the suspect is in that five or not. Hence, double blind procedures, like where even the officer doesn't know who the suspect is, are generally recommended. So that's where the role of a psychologist comes up. The third tool we have is polygraph, or the very famous lie detector test. The polygraph test measures the involuntary physiological responses like heart rate, blood pressure, respiration, skin conductance, all of these. So the assumption is that when a person is lying, it can cause physiological stress, and this stress triggers measurable bodily changes. All right. So a person, whenever they are lying, their body generally always have some kind of response which can be caught by the investigator or the psychologist. So three kinds of questions are generally used for polygraph test. The first is called a control. So these are emotionally neutral questions like what is your name, or where were you born, or what is your age, these kind of questions. Then there are irrelevant questions for baseline readings, which means when a person is asked irrelevant question where it doesn't matter if you lie or not, they generally speak up the truth. So when they are speaking the truth, that helps to measure the baseline reading, which means what is the heart rate at rest, the blood pressure at rest, respiration rate at rest, or the skin conductance when the person is at rest. Right? And then finally there are relevant questions, or the questions that are related to crime. So when a person is answering, their physiological responses are compared with the control or irrelevant questions, and this helps them to determine whether the person was lying or not. So this is used to verify truthfulness of statements, and generally this is conducted by trained forensic psychologists. Now, polygraph don't detect lies directly. They only detect stress, which may also occur due to anxiety or fear. So, because of this, accuracy of polygraph test or results is highly debated. It's generally 70 to 90% chances only that the person is actually, or the psychologist or the police officer is actually able to catch that the person is lying. Similarly, as I told you, emotions like anxiety or fear can mimic signs of lying. So in India, polygraph cannot be used as sole evidence, only as supportive investigation tool, that also with consent. So while polygraph can support investigation, they cannot serve as standalone evidence in Indian courts. Next tool we have is BEOSP, which is short for Brain Electrical Oscillation Signature Profiling. So this is a neuropsychological test that detects the presence of experiential knowledge in the brain. So this means when a person listens to words or images or sounds, anything related to crime, The electrodes can capture the brain's electrical activity. Now, if the brain shows, like that it already knew the details that only the actual, criminal or actual offender would know, it indicates prior experience or involvement. So here, electrodes record brain wave patterns when a person listens to a crime related words or sounds. If the brain recognizes the details only the perpetrator would know, it shows memory signature. So how this works is that when a person is hearing for something new for the first time, there are certain parts of the brain which light up. When a person is hearing something that the person already knew, then that lighting is totally different. So this powering up of the brain cells is what is called by this technique, which is called BEOSP. It's a non-invasive test and it doesn't require verbal response, making it more ethical than traditional polygraph test. And this is used by forensic labs like CFSL and Gujarat Forensic Science Laboratory. CFSL, Central Forensic Laboratory. I don't know if you people have heard about this very famous Arushi Talwar case. So in this case, this technique BEOSP was notably used in India to detect cognitive traces related to the crime. If you haven't read about this case, you should read this up. This was a very famous case a while back.
Thank you all for learning
old,
with me.
Right?
If you found the video
it's
helpful,
called Arushi Talwar
make sure
case.
you let me know by hitting the like button. Make
And
sure you
finally,
share the
we
video
have
with your
the
friends too.
narcoanalysis test.
Subscribe to make sure
So
that you don't miss out
narcoanalysis
on any of the
involves
new videos.
administering
You can
barbiturate
reach me by
drugs
simply
like
dropping a
sodium
comment. See you in the
pentothal,
next one.
which put
Till
a
then,
person into
happy learning.
semi-conscious trance-like state. And in this state, the person is more likely to speak freely. Why? Because their guard is now lowered. They may reveal suppressed thoughts or memories. So investigators gently ask questions while psychologists monitor the responses. So this helps to retrieve repressed or even hidden memories. However, there are strong ethical and legal restrictions. The person's consent is mandatory. And any statement made under narco cannot be treated as final evidence. It only provides clue for further investigations. So this can be conducted only with court and medical consent. Then statements given under narcotic influence cannot be treated as conclusive evidence, used mainly for clues, and this is not a proof. Now, because the person is semi-conscious, their imagination and reality can mix. So they don't know what is real at that point. It's kind of a drunk state. So every statement must be independently verified. So this was all the tools of eyewitness assessment. The next main topic that we have to study is children as eyewitnesses. So children can also serve as eyewitnesses, and this would be especially in cases of domestic violence, abuse or accidents. Now, historically, the statements were considered unreliable because of their limited understanding and suggestibility. Children are very vulnerable to suggestibility, so they require non-leading and very sensitive questioning. Modern psychology, recognizes that with proper methods, children can give accurate accounts. Here, the key considerations would be, like using child-friendly language, avoiding leading questions, providing a safe environment to reduce the child's anxiety, using drawings, role plays, or toys, something that will help the child recall the details. Even then, children are more likely to be influenced by suggestion, authority, and even fear. So, special care must be taken to protect their mental well being during questioning. Next, we have eyewitness evidence. So, eyewitness evidence, this forms a bridge between what was seen by a person and what can be legally proven. So, this helps to identify suspects and reconstruct the sequence of events. And this also helps to corroborate the forensic or circumstantial evidence. However, eyewitness evidence should never stand alone. It must always be supported by physical, digital or forensic evidence to prevent wrongful convictions. Right? So in short, eyewitness evidence, it is any evidence that is obtained from eyewitnesses and it forms a bridge between what was seen and what can be legally proven. Let's see what it means by witness protection. So, witness protection means ensuring the safety, dignity, and privacy of witnesses before, during, and after trials. This is important because many witnesses face intimidation, right? They could be threatened, or there could be, social judgment, and many stress that they face when they testify, especially if the case is high profiled or even organized crime cases. The goal here is to allow them to testify without fear and to protect their identity and family from harm. India introduced the Witness Protection Scheme in 2018. That's very recent, right? And this was done under Supreme Court approval, making witness safety a part of the right to life and fair trial. What are the different procedures in witness protection? The process involves three main stages. The first is called risk assessment. Here, the experts are going to assess the level and source of threat to the witness or their family. Then the second would be security measures. Now, depending on the threat level that was found out during the first stage of risk assessment, measures are taken including police protection, sometimes relocation or change of identity or in-camera trials where the person does not have to go to the court for in-person trial, right? And finally, the third would be judicial orders. Here, the court monitors and issues directions for duration, extent, and type of protection needed by the witness. So, the protection can last from weeks or even years depending on the severity of the threat on the individual. Witness protection has different categories also. And mainly we have three categories here. First is called category A, where there is the threat to life. So this would be when there is life threatening situations to the witness or family, where the witness or their family require long term protection, often including relocation and even identity change. Category B, this would be a threat to safety, reputation, or even property. And here the protection is provided during the trial phase. Then there is category C, which is a very moderate threat. So here short term protection is required during testimony or even investigation. So the major category is A. Here the protection could be for a long term. Category B, the protection is during the trial phase. Category C, the protection is for very short duration of investigation or testimony. So this system ensures that each case receive proportional care and resources. With that, we come to the end of this unit. To quickly summarize, eyewitnesses provide crucial psychological and factual input in criminal justice. However, since memory is something that can be, not very accurate all the time, their testimony has to be carefully assessed using tools like cognitive interview, BEOSP, or lineup tests, and all of those assessment tools that we have just studied. Children, they require special sensitivity, and all witnesses must be protected under the law to ensure that truth can prevail without any fear. So here, psychology plays a bridge role between human behavior and justice system. So here I have a few questions from this chapter. So this is not PYQ, just what I thought could be a good question that can ever, possibly come for the exam. The first would be explain the meaning of eyewitness and discuss its assessment. Second would be describe tools and methods in eyewitness assessment. Explain children as eyewitnesses. And another question could be discuss witness protection categories. Right?
Thank you all for learning with me. If you found the video helpful, make sure you let me know by hitting the like button. Make sure you share the video with your friends too. Subscribe to make sure that you don't miss out on any of the new videos. You can reach me by simply dropping a comment. See you in the next one. Till then, happy learning.